All right, and we are live. Welcome to the live edition of the Practical Wealth Show, where we talk about, my favorite topic, money. And so today I wanted to go live because I wanted to get this out there for friends of mine that are, my daughter just graduated, and I've got another one. She's only 9, so I got maybe time to better prep this time. so, but I had a call said, listen, one of my cousins was like, listen, our daughter's graduate. Both my little cousins are graduating next year, so they're rising juniors. They'll be a senior, and they're like, do you know anything about getting money for college or scholarships? And then I met Donovan. Um, that's what I call you, Donovan McNabb. Donovan Colquitt. That's a Philly thing, right? And I met Donovan, and Donovan, you listened to me on another podcast. That's how we met, right?
Yep, the Money
The
Monopolizers
Money
podcast.
Monopolizers. And so we met on there. So we worked on some stuff. And then I'm looking at like he's going to tell you his PhD, but he has no like student loan debt, like bare, like nothing, like 6,000. I was like, wait, what? And he says, oh yeah, I do this thing. I was like, oh, we got to talk about this because my people got to hear that. So Donovan, welcome to the show, and tell them a little bit.
Thank you.
Tell them about yourself. Tell them what I didn't tell
Yeah, so I started my journey in mechanical engineering at the University of Michigan, but I want to tell you the full story just so you have a little bit more context. So it starts actually with my dad. My dad never got his college degree. He got a certificate in design engineering, but I grew up watching him working on his classic car and fixing the computers around the house. We were blessed to have computers all over,
them.
like basically in every bedroom. So
Wow.
I would spend hours playing on the internet and playing video games whenever I visited my dad. And so he had a pretty profound influence on me wanting to become an engineer so I could relate to him and bond with him over that.
Okay.
But my college influence was in the fourth grade with my mom. She had some friends who were alum of the University of Michigan, and they
Mm-hmm.
had University of Michigan everything. They had Christmas tree, plate, they had garage door. It was all University of Michigan. So I was kind of entranced by this. I wanted to be the best of engineers,
Mm-hmm.
and University of Michigan was the place to go for that.
Okay.
So I made a deal with my mom that same year in the fourth grade that if I got a full ride scholarship to the University of Michigan, she would get me a new blue Corvette. And this new
Oh.
blue Corvette was actually a car that I had seen playing the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on the PlayStation. So
Mm.
I was like, how do I get that car? And so I made that deal with my mom.
Did
Fast
that?
forward
Okay.
to fast forward to the my junior year of not actually my freshman or sophomore year in high school. And I'm from Detroit originally, the Motor
Mm-hmm.
City. So when the Great Recession hit in 2008, my family and a lot of families in the Metro Detroit area were affected. My parents lost their jobs, everything was moving slower. So we ended up losing our home and moving into a roach infested apartment. And I that was like a shell shock for me. I had never been in that type of situation. Uh, Basically, what I decided was that I was not gonna have my parents try to afford college and end up going bankrupt again just to pay for my dream. I
Okay.
had to take ownership of that, and
Mm-hmm.
so I decided that as soon as I could, I would start applying for scholarships. My junior year of high school, I had a computer class where I was like super easy work. You just type up a few business letters, and then I had like basically 40 minutes to browse on the computer because I got done with my work real quick. When I basically had time, I I would Google for scholarships. My first scholarship search engine was Google. And so I ended up searching high school or scholarships for high school seniors. And I just had a tons of web links to search through to find scholarships.
Okay.
And so one Saturday, I decided I was going to start applying. I applied to I spent hours like applying to maybe 5 different scholarships. And, the story is like just the beginning of right there because I never heard back. I didn't get an email, text, a call back from any of these scholarships. And instead of letting that deter me, I was just like, I have to figure out another way to get a scholarship.
Hmm.
So the following summer, before my senior year, I didn't really have any plans, but my mom and dad were basically like, "Hey, you got to figure out something." I had been working jobs every summer since the 8th grade, and so I was like, I really want to figure out a way to get more scholarships, and I just had this feeling that I would be able to go to the University of Michigan. I ended up
Okay.
getting a letter randomly to go to their summer college engineering exposure program, and I participated. It was a 12, I think it was a 12-day program. And at the end of the program, we had to do presentations about our our participation in school. What were like the extracurricular activities we did? What jobs did we do? What challenging coursework did we do? And if you knew me back then, I was super introverted. I mean, I still am pretty introverted, but I was super shy
Hmm.
and I was nervous about talking in front of people. But in this presentation, I talked about my experiences and everything in high school. And I saw a lady in the back furiously writing about everything that I was talking about. And I was
Okay.
just like, oh my gosh, am I actually doing this presentation right? But
Okay.
at the end of the program, there was an announcement that they were going to pick 11 and 12 students from the cohort to get a $40,000 scholarship.
Hmm.
And they didn't call us out by name. They called us out first by the activities that we were in. So the students that were initially coming up were like the rock stars in the program. It was like, of course they're going to get the scholarship,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
you could even kind of see it in their parents' faces. They was like, yeah, this is this. Of course, my child's going to win the scholarship. They're a genius. And so I was like, all throughout this program, I felt outclassed. People knew more than me, improved it to me every day. So I was my self esteem was low to say the least. Um, but they eventually got to random acts of kindness committee chair,
Okay.
and which was a position that I had done for the National Honor Society. And I was like, I was so far gone. I was like, somebody else is doing that, it can't be me. But they eventually said my name, and I was like, this isn't a joke. So I'll get up on stage with my mom, and out of all the parents, my mom was the only parent that was crying, on
Okay.
stage,
Okay.
because it meant so much to her and to me, because um, this is like basically the beginning of me earning scholarships and being able to pay for college,
Okay.
which we weren't sure how it was going to happen. So when when I got back from the program and started my senior year of high school, this reassured me that my future was willing, people were willing to invest in my future. So I just started applying again for scholarships, and I got so many scholarships that I ended up having $1.25 million in scholarships my senior year, which includes scholarships such as the Buick Achiever Scholarship. I was one of the first 5 to ever receive that scholarship through the General Motors Foundation. I was the first African American to receive that scholarship. I received the Gates Millennium Scholarship, which is the full ride to the any college in the United States. 5 years is paid for undergrad, 5 years is paid for grad school. And I received the KFC Colonel Scholarship, which is a $20,000 scholarship. I'm not sure if they're still doing it. But that was also nice. I received three different scholarships from the University of Michigan, totaling $100,000. And then there was just other smaller scholarships that I ended up winning, and it was without Gates, it totaled to 250,000. With Gates, it was $1 million because Gates is
Let
like
me
$1
ask you
million.
this. So there's like skill. First of all, can you use all of that money?
Technically, no.
Okay,
So,
all right.
for instance, the Gates is a need based scholarship, which means that it arrives to your need. It'll only meet what you need based on your cost of attendance. So your cost of attendance includes your room and board, your tuition and fees, um, your books, your
Mm-hmm.
basically any expense that comes with going to college, which for the University of Michigan was around $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
I had a $25,000 scholarship per year from the Buick Achievers, so most of my cost of attendance was paid for,
Okay.
and so and then my additional scholarships paid for the rest. So the Gates scholarship, basically, like they just put like $1 in to say that they gave me aid that year. Now, what can happen? Let's say you get a bunch of smaller scholarships that have to pay the year that they award the scholarship. So, for instance, I got a scholarship from collegenet.com, and they were like, here's $5,000. Or I got a scholarship from the Sam Walton's Community Scholarship through the Sam Walton Foundation, like the Walmart Foundation or
Walmart.
whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they gave me $3,000. Now they're going to give me the aid because they've already agreed to give me the aid, and there's no need associated. It's not need based, it's merit based.
Okay.
And so my first year of college, my freshman year, I ended up receiving a refund check with $10,000 because that, even though my need was met, I had the 25,000 already paying off my tuition and fees on board, and then I also had a surplus of money from the additional scholarships. So that was the highest amount of aid that I received that my entire undergrad
Okay.
in one refund check. Then in the next cycle of refund checks, I started to get like maybe $6,000 to pay for my apartment or whatever, and
Right.
food and different things. But if I had applied for more scholarships during my undergrad, which I was not greedy enough to say, hey, I'm going to keep applying because I got a secret sauce here.
Right.
But I only applied for scholarships when I needed them. So that would have given me additional aid. And then there's sometimes a scholarship that would just write a check directly to you and send it to your institution. So that's another way to get an additional source of income.
So walk me through that. All right. So so this is incredible. So my mind is about to explode because some of these questions for me, y'all. I just want you to know. So when should people? Well, let's go into the numbers because most people don't understand in anything they're doing the numbers aspect of what you're doing. So
Yep.
tell it. Walk me through that process. Uh, how many did you apply for? I like the numbers. I like ratios. Right? Did you say you applied for to get what you got?
Yeah. So it's a so let's say my junior year, I applied to around maybe seven my junior year,
Oh, I
and
thought you
so
were
I
gonna say
didn't hear
something
back
like
from them.
okay, keep going. You might be finished story. I'll say I applied to 500. So
Nope,
no, okay.
nope. My senior year, I probably applied to around 15 to 20. I don't remember the exact number anymore, but basically, my junior year, I didn't get anything. My senior year, I got everything.
Junior year in high school or college?
High school.
High school. Okay. Hmm.
Yep.
When is the optimal time to do this? So let's say, well, my child is just graduating. We need May last month, this month. Is it too late for them for this year, or could they even still look and find something, or is that like a long shot? It's probably a long shot, but is it too late?
I would say that it's never too late. However, the odds of you finding a high volume of scholarships starts to decrease as you reach your high school graduation, because a lot of the deadlines end up being in the late fall or early spring. Really, they start giving out awards. At least the larger scholarships start giving out awards in the springtime of your senior year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are smaller scholarships that you can find pretty much giving out scholarships all throughout the year. So there's actually a book that is released every year called the Ultimate Book of Scholarships
Okay.
2022 at this point. And so that was one of the books that I used to get scholarships. And I remember seeing in that book, like there was a scholarship for high school athletes, 75-word essay about why milk is good for your diet.
You know.
So there's a ton of scholarships that you could find that as long as you're eligible for them, you meet the criteria, you can apply and you will likely win. Because the pool of applicants is a lot smaller than the number of scholarships out there. There's
Yeah.
billions
So
of
people
dollars in
people
scholarships.
people are just not looking. Is what I'm
People
hearing.
people don't, and it's not necessarily the people swap, because there's not a lot of education about where to find scholarships. When I talk to parents specifically, the first question is like, how do I find them? And my secret sauce, Google. When you start using Boolean logic, when you start using different tips and tricks on how to find scholarships that are actually looking for you and you meet the eligibility criteria, it becomes a lot easier. And so you can go on my website, scholarskey.com, and you can use the scholarship search string generator, which is a free download. I don't even ask for your email, but you can use that to help you tailor your search strings to
I'm gonna
find scholarships that you meet the
type
criteria
that in
for.
the chat for me so I can. I'm gonna put it on the banner, and then I'm gonna make sure I have it for the show notes.
Yep. So there's a lot of different ways you can spin it. There's books that help you, like the book I had referenced, the Ultimate Book of Scholarships. Um, there are apps, search engines like My Scholly. Um, what else? There's a lot of different ways that you can find scholarships. I do kind of stray away from the scholarship search engines that are not Google, because they're typically giving out scholarships or letting people in to learn about scholarships that everybody's learning about. So
Mm-hmm.
the applicant pool becomes a lot greater because people only see those scholarships, and then they're like more prone to having a surplus of people applying for them. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of different ways that you can find scholarships, and I would say that more people than not are just not aware of all the different ways.
Aware, right? And so that's the thing. I know that I was counseling with somebody, and they were trying to go, and they were literally picking the schools. They were, I think they needed 25,000. They had most of it, but they were really limited of where they go, or they got to go to community because but when I hear what you're saying, I know they haven't done this. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And we haven't done this. So let's be transparent, okay? And
Right,
um, we make okay money, so they're like, here's your parent contribution. Like,
right,
so I'm trying to eliminate that, okay, in full
right.
disclosure. So like, well, you're smart, and my kids are brilliant, so they should qualify for something. But I know they haven't looked for anything. It's like, all right, so,
Yes.
and they're not. I mean, think about this. They're 17, 16, 17. I mean, what
Yep.
do they know? I mean, one of the things I tell them, look, you got to stop using computers to play. What game did they play? Some stupid phone game or whatever, Fortnite. You need to be figuring out how to use this damn thing to save daddy some money. Okay. And so, but the thing is when should they? So let's break it down. I one time I took a college planning course, which I didn't like. That I didn't want to do all of that stuff, but I like getting people together. But it's kind of like a general contractor, right? There are different components of that, and they said it's like climbing a mountain. So what they said was base camp starts in like ninth grade. Okay, you should, you need to start, really just start when they're born. But in terms of you're trying to have some money set aside for them, and I hate 529 plans, so that's another talk for another day. But because you do 529 plan, they're looking at your 529 plan. Great, you got $40,000. That's $40,000 you don't need from us, right? And so, so we use life insurance. One of the ways that we use as a place to store cash. Shameless plug. And but that's the thing. So there's a thing for the finances, but there's also, there's student loans.
Yep.
Right. There's savings. And then there's, money's out there, right? And so one of the things that we teach is, we call it in our system, drain the tank. Like, I don't like liquidating my capital for what I call a major capital expense. So college is a major capital expense, right? And so, I don't want, if I've got the money, I don't want to just, liquidate my money and give it to the school because it's gone forever. And I tell our clients, listen, they have scholarships and college loans, which aren't the worst thing in the world, honestly. But if you have to do it, because it's still cheap money, relatively speaking. And but they don't have retirement scholarships. They don't have retirement grants. So you can't impoverish yourself for your kids to go to school, and then they need to be in the y'all all need to be in the game, because you can't let them get some dumb major. I shouldn't say that way. That don't have any economic viability, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can't make money to service this debt. You have to start to look at this differently. But they don't really teach money at school. They think, well, it's everybody should go. That's a debate for another day. But what I want you to do is, this is work. So you need to sit down and think about this. So when would you have them start thinking about it? As you're, as they're planning. Let's say I'm a parent and my child is blah, blah, blah. I need to start looking into this. What age is the ideal age for you?
The ideal age? So from my
grade, or maybe grade is the best. Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead. Yeah.
So the ideal age, or the ideal grade that I would say the students should take onus is their high school junior year at the latest.
Okay.
Now, you can find scholarships at any grade for college. And if you, as the parent, it can be up to you to determine how much effort you would like to put into finding scholarships for your child. Now, you can get elementary school grants, or just a variety of different ways to fund college. And they come in various forms. So, for example, the University of Michigan will have all the students in my high school write essays for, I forget the name of the scholarship now, but it was a full ride to the University of Michigan. The best essay got a full ride to the University of Michigan. That wasn't my junior year of high school. That was actually my freshman or sophomore year of high school. And so I had a friend who actually got a full ride to the University of Michigan before even thinking about applying for scholarships.
Wow.
So there's a variety of different ways. Now, you can find grants at a young age for your child. You can find scholarships that are targeted towards elementary school students. So, for example, and this is just another tip that I give generally, if you have a favorite product, a favorite brand, a favorite company, just Google their name and put scholarship right next to it. And you'll be surprised at how many scholarships you find for that company. So these companies are typically trying to have a tax deduction by giving out aid. It makes sense for them. So they're going to try and get rid of this cash so that they don't have to pay higher taxes. So McDonald's has a scholarship. Coca-Cola has a scholarship. Burger King has a scholarship. In Michigan, there's Olga's Kitchen. They have a pasta tail scholarships for elementary to high school. I'm
Wow.
competing with elementary school students. You think I'm going to win this $500?
Right, right, right.
You never know until you start Googling or searching. I'm not going to just say Google because you have, there's a lot of different search engines that
Right.
might have even better results. But it really
Duck, duck,
depends
go, so they
on
don't
you.
know that you're looking. Just kidding.
Right.
So,
but there's a lot of different ways to do that, and it's not just Googling scholarships. You know, the only reason why I have a student loan is because I ran out of aid from from my Buick Achiever scholarship, which paid 25,000 because
mhm.
it was a 4-year scholarship, and I took a fifth year because mechanical engineering is pretty difficult.
Okay.
And then my parents also made too much money, so then my need-based scholarship only paid so much.
Hmm.
So now I was in a rough situation where I had to come up with the money. And so I asked the financial aid office, I told them, hey, I have a scholarship that I've never used, but it was a $40,000 scholarship, actually the SKEEP scholarship, or the Summer College Engineering Exposure Program scholarship. Hey, can I use that money for my fifth year? So they gave me $10,000 from one email.
Hmm.
I had a client who was looking to get funds. And so what I did was I called the financial aid office. I said, hey, is there any aid available for this student? And financial aid will typically say, no, we can give you a student loan. Well, I started digging deeper and I started calling the department for the major that the student was in. And I
Mhm.
got all the way up to the person who was giving financial aid for their department. So there's departmental aid that is separate from the financial aid office. There's money in a lot of different places. You just have to look and be willing to ask the questions for finding that aid. And so luckily the parent of that client was already kind of ahead of the game and had already talked to the financial aid, not financial aid, but the department head who was over the financial aid for that department. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, oh, okay, I did all this effort, but you are already ahead of the game.
Yep, yep. Hey, hey, Lunel. So Lunel, you should ask me a question. and do you have a question for Donovan if you're still on? Yeah, that is wow. It's that, you know what? So you tell them how let's say they're working all the time and they need help. Let's I want to shameless plug for Scholars Key. How do you help people?
Yeah. So I help people in a variety of ways. I normally help you find scholarships. I help you with the application process for applying to scholarships, which includes essay editing and essay reviews. I then will also reach out and try to find scholarships at the institution. And I will, in addition, just kind of coach your child through the process, giving them encouragement when they don't get the initial turnout that they're hoping for with scholarships. I do a lot of motivational coaching so that it's not all on them. They realize that, and then we can work together to then find and apply for and win scholarships. Um, I do a little. I have a book, so
Mm-hmm.
which is the
You have a
Scholar's
book?
Key.
You holding out on me? Go ahead, give me the book.
Yep, I wrote this book as a high school senior to motivate other teens to apply for scholarships. So the book is called The Scholar's Key: How You Can Unlock Your Dreams as a Teen, and it's not necessarily a how-to book. It's more so motivational because I know that a lot of students can get the how-to pretty easily, but the motivational piece is where the mindset piece is where I see a lot of students kind of faltering on,
What's the
especially
last?
as
What's
they.
the? Give me the title again. What's the Scholars Key? How to unlock?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. Sorry to break your train. I want to get that out there.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, so you can get it through Amazon Prime in 2 days, and it's also an ebook, so it's pretty accessible.
Yes. All right. Let's do this. All right. So I'm gonna put the title. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, it's the Scholar's Key. How you can unlock your dreams as a teen. So this is actually written for the student
Right.
and to read. So this is because they have to take ownership. They just expect. Sometimes they just expect you to, hey, did you fill
Yep.
that CSS profile out? Did you do this? Did you do that? Stressing me out. And but I digress. And but it's like, all right, guess where this text is going. I'm going to text my kids now, right, from your website right now.
Yep.
and but that's the thing. So if I know a couple people that I'm thinking about that are juniors, I have a couple people I'm working with right now that their kids are like rising seniors right now, just graduated and are looking for help. And one of the things I found also that I didn't understand is I thought that once they award it, that's it, but it changes. You don't get
Right.
the money every. Talk about that. So let's say you're a sophomore, junior, and you're looking to get new money
Yep.
for the upcoming semester. Is that possible?
Yes, it is. And so at first I thought your question was going to say, are there certain requirements that you have to meet when you get the
Well, all
scholarship?
right. Let's start there. All right, let's do
Yeah.
that first. Okay, and then yeah, just clean
And,
me up. I don't know what to ask. I'm just like, what money? All right, no, just kidding. Go ahead.
yeah, so it depends. The answer is it depends. It depends on the
Okay.
scholarship. Certain
Hmm.
scholarships will have a certain threshold. You can't be in academic probation, or you have to meet a certain GPA. You have to keep a certain major. So the Buick Achiever Scholarship, I had to make sure that I was doing something in business or engineering or something in technology so that I could be employable by General Motors when I graduated. So I did 2 internships, but it wasn't the best experience, and I decided, hey, I'm going to go on and do some graduate school work.
Hmm.
Um, Now, certain other scholarships will require a lot more, and so my wife, who we've also paid her student loan debt off, which was
Hmm.
$5,000, thank God. Um, she ended up having to do like, uh, basically like had to get the professors to sign off on at the end of each of her semesters on her like a progress report. Basically, they
Hmm.
had to sign up, which was a lot, and she was just like she was so fed up with it that she gave up the scholarship because it was
Mm.
just like so tedious and so unnecessary. And that was a local scholarship, so it depends. You can do national scholarships, local scholarships, and they'll have a different requirement. If it's a national scholarship, they probably won't have the bandwidth to have a progress report for their hundred of students or thousands of
Hmm.
students, so it's a lot less effort. I do have to register each year for funding with the Gates Millennium Scholarship, so
Okay.
they have to look at my transcript every year, and that includes graduate school. What was your other question?
The other question is, so Pete, that's a good to know. You got to maintain them, and then when should you start? Can you do it during the year, right? Meaning, like not during the year, but during your
During college?
upperclassmen years. And so let's say you're sophomore, junior, senior, you can still, if you didn't get money last year or you didn't know to get it, but now you're going into your sophomore, junior year, can parents and students, always be looking for money to help them fund this degree?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so you get into the territory of it being kind of like, let's say you're about to graduate, it might be
Hmm.
a little too late if you already have like student loan debt. You might be able to find student loan forgiveness scholarships, which is a
Wow.
different territory altogether. Which I've toyed around with the idea, but I've never had to really do it myself, so I'm
Hmm.
not as familiar. I would love to help people with finding those types of scholarships. However, when you're in college and you're in your junior year, you know just for instance, when I was a fifth year, I was a super senior, and I needed scholarships. So I started asking financial aid office, hey, can I use this scholarship? That was my way of getting aid. There's people who are donors or alum that donate to the university so that they can give a scholarship to you, the student, at any year, because you need it. So you can find scholarships, and there's scholarships for college seniors, college juniors, college freshmen. Every year you can find a scholarship. It's important for you to meet the eligibility criteria for that, and it depends on your major. Now, if you have something in STEM like engineering or science, it's probably a little bit easier for you to find a scholarship than for the humanities or liberal arts. But
Hmm.
if you, let's say you Google engineering scholarship for college juniors, I'm sure you'll find something, because
Wow.
everybody knows that not everybody's college is completely paid for, and everybody knows that it's expensive. So there's going to be a scholarship available for you in order to pay off that additional year. And I would say start early. If you're a sophomore, start looking for junior year scholarships. And this can be in your fall semester or in your spring semester or over the summer. But make sure you have a starting point, and then create like an essay bank, because
Hmm.
I'm sure that these scholarships are going to start asking for essays on why you deserve to win this scholarship. So start storing your essays as you fill out scholarships, and then there's bound to be another scholarship that asks the same or the very similar question, and then you just start
Oh,
automating
that's
the
really
process for
smart.
you.
So,
Yeah,
okay, so essay bank, say if you, because I know we that was the thing we worked on, like
yeah,
with our kids and getting help from other college students and enlisting
yeah,
people and critiquing it, and my wife, if you ask her to read something, she gets her red pen out because she's about to mark it up,
yep,
and so it's funny time a lot of times for our kids, African American kids, they don't even know to do that. Get help with the scholarships. You can get what are those things called? Even in high school, you should be working on getting your SATs up.
right, yep.
And you can prep for those things. I didn't even know that when I was in school. I was playing basketball, so if they
my
accepted me
my
and I had room and I could thought I could get start or play as a freshman, that was my criteria. So that was a whole different thing.
my mom actually had me take the ACT every year around my birthday in February, because it was painful. But
Hmm.
she had me take the ACT to prep every year since the sixth grade. And so when I took the ACT, I wasn't stressed about it. I wasn't panicking. I took it once, I got a 28. I took it again, I got a 29. Um, and if you go to a HBCU, if you
Hmm.
have like a 28, that's a full ride to the college.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
also other ways to save money. Let me just get into a little bit more.
Okay.
You can be an RA. That's your full housing, room and board paid for. You don't have to worry about housing when you're an RA. There's working with the ROTC that pays for your entire college if you just stay in the ROTC during college. So there's a lot of different ways. You can have an internship. This gets more into grad school, but certain companies will pay for your schooling. There's a lot of different ways, and I wanted to plug this. I do have, if you go on the scholarskey.com, I do have an online course for parents. It's just an hour-long video which walks you through the process of helping your student with getting scholarships. And
Hmm.
then I have an online course that's a little bit, it's definitely got more segments to it. It's more so for STEM students, but anyone can take it. And it gives you templates for writing your like request for a letter of recommendation. I created the template. I used it for my recommendations for fellowships and for jobs. It's very multifaceted. So there's plenty of templates and helpful things in that course that anyone can use and find helpful. But
Wow.
but yeah, that's the Scholar's Key on Thinkific.
That's see what I hear is you have it's like a series, a system. You've got frameworks of stuff that you've done, that you've thought through, that you kind of laid out there,
Yep.
that you've been repeatable. Like a biggie is keeping I never thought about this, keeping a essay bank,
Yep.
and just writing. You're working on these things, store them, and they're you, and that you could reuse, because they don't share them. Like, it's like you could use that essay for 5 different places. It's not like they're
Right.
all looking at it. Okay.
Exactly. It's no plagiarism. You can't self-plagiarize with a scholarship. I also have a scholarship tracker which goes through the eligibility criteria, um, you know, when to apply, the deadline, you know, if you've get written the essay yet. There's a lot of different things that you can keep yourself organized with in order to make sure that you're maximizing your time and your effort and minimizing your effort rather. So there's a system to this, and you can do it strategically, or you can just keep applying and applying and applying and feel like you're not getting anywhere.
Right. So there's always a system. And that's,
Right.
I always tell people it's hard to win a game when you don't know the rules.
Right.
And so you can most people either play by the wrong rules, or they don't know the rules at all. So it's
Right.
hard to win any of those games, right? And
Yep.
so you could figure it out. And a lot of this stuff is figure outable, or if you're lazy like me, you might just write a check and say, let
There you
me
go.
let you meet my child, Donovan. Y'all have at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what one of the things that is a great book I started the year out reading is called Who Not How. And
Yep.
I just found my who. Okay. And I actually want to know some of this stuff. So we might go through it together, because I'm endlessly curious and I like to know, because I think it's important. I think that, one of the things that we teach, and then I want you to kind of tell them how to get in touch with you as we wind down, is that there's most wealth is lost by how people, one, manage cash flow, but the other one is wealth transfers, right? So the five transfers of wealth are: one, how you pay your mortgage, taxes, how you fund retirement plans, how you pay for college is a major wealth transfer. So what we're talking about is that transfer right there, and then how you pay for major capital purchase. So it's in college, I would consider a major capital purchase, which is anything you can't pay for in full within monthly cash flow. So you need to
Right.
kind of look at it as a project. Okay. And then what Donovan is saying is, look, there's some tools out there that you kind of got to get yourself organized and think through some of this stuff and make it a project that you or your child works on every week. You're on a computer all the time anyway, so you need to, and they're good at searching stuff,
Right.
and so that's kind of what. And see, even that process helps you, because you've got to learn how to get information that you need. That's really what, because part of college is you ain't gonna. I shouldn't. So let me finish that. Most of the times, it's really more so who you know. Do you know how to do stuff? And like critically think, how to research, how to figure stuff out. And I think that that's a real skill that people can learn, because remember this, as you this, or if you have your scholars listen to this, the money follows value,
Mhm.
right? One of the reasons, so I hope y'all call him, because what happens is, entrepreneurs solve problems, right? The bigger the problem, the bigger the check. So, I was encouraging Don to get out here. I'm gonna have him on more than once, because that's a big problem. Okay, that needs to be solved. That he's got a process that can help a lot of people, and so, you know that's how you win. You got to help people,
Right.
and so he's currently like working on his PhD.
Mhm.
What do you? I don't even know what that is in. What do you get your PhD in?
In engineering education.
Engineering. All right, so he's an engineer, so he thinks about processes and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
you gotta uh as much as you work with me, I guess I'm process oriented, but you probably could, as we break my stuff down, Curtis, you're a little disorganized. I don't know. You're like, okay, let's work on this. And actually, I'm very process driven, but I could get better. So I like really that engineering mind. I really appreciate that.
Right.
So Donovan, as we wind up, I thank you so much. We have to do this again, but tell them anything I didn't ask you that you want them to know, and then tell them how to reach out to you if they've got more questions. And the stuff you gave me, I'm going to put in the show notes. But tell them one more time, or any other tip you want to get out there.
Yeah. So one thing we didn't talk about was just the purpose of the essay and the personal statement. Um, I don't want to get too deep into it because I do have a presentation that you can download on the Thinkific platform to just get my typical spiel on
Mm-hmm.
that. But really, it's very important to be able to tell a compelling story about who you are and why you are worth being invested in as a scholar. And so if you have anyone that is maybe an English teacher, maybe a friend who does different things like tell stories on the news or anything like that, you want to make sure that you leverage your network so that your essays are very eye-catching and pleasing to the mind for these scholarship reviewers,
Mm-hmm.
because your essays is kind of like the main way that you're going to get these funds. Make sure, and this is outside of essays now,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that your student, as the parent, is active in school and outside of school, because the main selling point that I had was that at one point I had 3 different jobs. I was the committee chairperson for several different student organizations. I was the team captain for Relay for Life, and I did a lot of different activities throughout throughout high school, and that helped me sell myself. That made the sale not so dicey for a
Right.
scholarship
Right.
committee. That's like, is the student really going to pay off for us, because they're not really involved right now, and are they even going to do anything productive when they get to college? You don't want them questioning you or your
Well, you know what?
child.
That's a good question. So, what is the result? Why is that important to them? I never thought about that because one of the things that what's the reason they want a result, or in you're in business, you're selling a resort, and one of the things you just said, if I relate that to what I talk to business owners about, you have a unique. You need to have the first thing when I talk to somebody about marketing and see you are the product. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so why should they choose? So in the unique selling proposition in business is why should I work with you versus or buy from you versus any and all choices I have, including doing whatever I'm doing now or doing nothing. So I'm translating what you said for that. That's what you have to highlight. Why me over these other candidates? What your and so you got to have your so even if you're listening, your kids are younger, we had our kids doing a lot of volunteer work. They're national merit scholars. They played varsity sports. They did,
Yeah.
they worked, and so they want to see that you're like just not some egghead in front of the
Yep.
computer all day long. They want what's the word? A person with a lot of interest that can juggle a lot of balls in the air, spin a lot of plates.
Yep. It's all about being well-rounded.
Well
You don't
rounded.
want
That's
a
where I look for.
student
Yeah.
who's yeah, you don't want a student who's just getting all A's or has above a 4.0 GPA because they have all these AP classes. That's
Mm-hmm.
not enough. I It's the same thing for being an intern. I don't want to know that you can just get good grades, you can memorize a bunch of facts or formulas, and you can get a good grade in engineering. No, I want you to be involved in maybe building a car outside of school,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
what are the different projects that you're doing so that you have proof of concept for making yourself useful in our organization,
Yeah.
or being a productive member of society. You have to be able to communicate with people. That's one of the main things that I believe is important, and that shows that you're able to work with people, because at the end of the day, you are here on this earth to serve people, and
Yeah.
well, serve God first,
Yeah.
but serve people, and you have to be able to bring value. And so, being in these different organizations, being a varsity member, like I was a varsity tennis team player.
Mm-hmm.
I had a variety of things so
Right.
that you could see that I was dynamically engaged inside and outside of the classroom. So it's really important to make sure that you show, or that your child, is well rounded. because they can
Yes.
play video games all day and not
Right.
do not get anything accomplished other than their grades, and that's not going to be
Right.
enough.
And so and you can't be having an attitude of entitlement because you're not entitled to anything. So you have to
Yep,
have gratitude. You got to give first,
humility.
right? And all of that stuff, man. That's a whole. I want to do another show just on that, right?
Yeah,
So listen, I got to run. I'm up. I have another training to do, and like it's actually now. And but I want to first of all, thanks, Jonathan. And I want y'all to go check out. So I'm gonna put this in the show notes. So this is a live because I wanted to get it out now, and then it'll probably be out later on the Practical Wealth Show. But I wanted to do this because I want to do it like while we're still in June because it might not be out till July when I said this. But I think this is like evergreen content where if you're listening to this, you can reach out to Donovan. You can just because a lot of this is a thought process of how to begin to break this down and go to your favorite companies and search their name and scholarship, and you got to do some work. And so, Donovan, tell them so they should go. Tell them where to go, and then we want to sign off.
you can find me on all social media: Twitter, Instagram at Donovan Colquitt. You can email me at Donovan at thescholarskey.com. You can find my website at thescholarskey.academy, thescholarskey.com, or scholarskey.com. So you can find me. You can find me.
Okay. All right. So we're out there. And then, hit if you don't remember any of this stuff, then just go to the Practical Wealth Show. Or you can hit me up at where can you hit me up at? Kurt May at gmail.com. And I'll forward you his stuff. All right. Hey, listen, this has been fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing, dropping gems. And this is a fascinating subject, and I really have to add this to the mix. So it's the first one I've done this. I'm really excited. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.